Hello and welcome to Camera Review. Today we are talking about the most important announcement from Panasonic. And it's not the S1H, it is their lens 24 to 70 Pro lens, which is the S Pro lens, which is for their lineup of L-mount lenses. And this is going to be their most important announcement because it's going to allow people like wedding photographers, people who are in the events photography or portrait photography to be able to utilize a nice focal range that has been the standard for a lot of the other companies like Canon and Nikon. And we are seeing it finally appearing in Panasonic's lineup. So in a way, Panasonic is filling that void that has existed since their launch, and this is their camera lens combination that they feel is going to make them go into the next level and be a competitor to companies like Sony, Canon, and Nikon. And what I do like about this new lens is that it fits very nicely in that range where it is going to provide what is the latest technology in a package that is competitive with regards to other companies. Now, in order for us to look at this lens in itself, we need to know what other companies are offering so we can see it in spectrum of how this compares to the other. So let's look at it from a price point of view. It's going to be $2,200, which is the same as Canon's RF lenses, the 24 to 70. The difference here is the design of the lens. Canon has 3 low dispersion. This has 4. 3 are spherical on both lens designs. What we are seeing is the latest technology being applied to both lenses. Yet here, what is going to be critical factor is how well it focuses. Now, focus is the key factor because, as you know, there is a lot of issue that happens with camera shake, and a camera shake blurs the images. We have autofocus images, and that requires optical stabilization. What we are seeing with this lens design is that there is no image stabilization within the lens. So that means we have to completely rely on the in-body stabilization that exists on the lens mount, which is going to be probably the S1R or S1H or the S1. That is what they're being offering. And if you look at the way that this lens is designed, it is weighing about 2 pounds. And that is quite a bit of weight for a lens. If you consider that you are using a mirrorless system, it's going to look quite large. What is nice though is the optical elements that they have used are high quality optical elements that is going to make it very competitive. As you may remember, they have their arrangements with Leica, and that's why they're using the Leica L mount. Leica has had a lot of influence in this company in terms of lens design, I believe, because if you look at their cooperation that they have done on the Leica DG series, for example, for the Micro Four Thirds, they have had much success with it, and it was very sought after lens designs. And I'm thinking that this lens design is the design that is going to put this camera and lens in the category that it is going to compete in. For a perspective of how this camera and lens combination will perfectly work, it will depend on the future updates. Now, currently, if you look at this camera and lens combination with, let's say, S1H or the S1R, there is still issues with autofocus, and it's not because that the lens is faulty in design. It's just that there's still a long way in perfecting that system that comes with having a autofocus system. Canon has been working on it for decades. They have had a huge amount of influence in the system. Sony has come up with one of the best systems. Fuji has been doing very well with it, yet we see Panasonic is still lagging behind. Yet I believe that as the time goes on, this particular investment in terms of L mount is going to be a valid one, because not only are you going to be able to use it on a Leica system, you can use it in the advanced series of cameras that will be coming out from the Panasonic. And I think the firmware upgrades will improve the consistency that this lens will have. Speaking of those firmware upgrades, Canon just announced recently that they have upgraded their autofocus system, which was already incredibly well, and we are seeing that their improvements is going to also affect the market overall, because it is the one that is going to be able to bring in that autofocus in video and photography that is going to win the game at the end of the day. You can have the sharpest lens, yet if you are not able to nail that focus, it's not going to work as good as any other poor lens, because what you're doing is you're going to get blurry images or images that are out of focus. This is not what the system right now is able to achieve. And from a perspective of using it for weddings or for fashion or for portrait or fast action, what I'm saying is that you have to have a very slow moving subject, or you have to ensure that you have adequate time to capture that image in focus, and that means that it is going to rely mostly on the skills and abilities of the photographer rather than the camera's ability to focus. That focusing thing, it becomes crucial when the depth of field is very shallow, because what you're going to have is a very fast lens and you're trying to blow the bokeh into a very nice smooth background. And in that respect, you're going to have a very good autofocus system. And I think that Panasonic will come through in that department, working to make this lens better. The low dispersion elements that is there, and it's going to help with the chromatic aberration and the color fringing. That is a very improved thing that has come through the designs. And I think that when they have that know-how to make lenses that are sharp and good and brings micro contrast and can compete in terms of image quality, then it is going to have them a bigger following. As you may know, the S1H, the S1R, the S1 series is a first generation of these lenses and cameras that are coming out as a system from Panasonic. And Panasonic is making a statement. They are saying that we are here ready to compete with Sony, we are ready to compete with Canon. And Canon, in a lot of ways, was lagging behind in terms of introducing their mirrorless systems, but as you are seeing, their R system, EOS R system, is already in there, and they're going to make more and more improvements. They have already done so with their autofocus. So what we're having is lenses that are going to perform exceptionally well under low light circumstances and going to be able to nail autofocus wise the shallow depths of field in their most fast lenses. So this is the thing that I think is the driving factor in the field of photography, and people are going to demand more and more from camera companies. As far as Panasonic is concerned, Panasonic is a great company in terms of producing cameras that are designed to meet the needs of videographers and people on a budget. In that respect, I think their GH5s and their S1H serves the market and gives a very good chance for people who are coming up in the business to have a chance of getting good images and good video for a relatively low price. It is the lenses that were lagging, and the lenses that we are seeing from the S1H series and S1R series that are going with the 24 to 70 is the one that is going to clear that void that has had for the longest period of time since the introduction of these cameras. Now, what other things that I like about it is it has 11 blade aperture. What that means is you're going to get more circular roundish bokeh. If you remember, for a period of time back in the 2000 period, 2010, companies were producing lenses with 5 blades, 6 blades, even 7 blades. Now we are having a much more roundish bokeh by having 11 or 12 blades. That is going to be a very nice improvement in terms of getting those round bokehs. I think that Panasonic has made a good decision by putting a lot of blades in. Of course, on the downside, the more blades, the more it is prone to have issues. But I think that because it's well designed and it has weather sealing, it is going to help keeping this lens secure and safe. You can see that this lens is being designed to work in the freezing cold conditions, in the hot conditions, in rainy conditions. So it is a very well designed lens. The problem I see with a lot of lenses these days is that they are designed in a very flimsy, plasticky manner. Another important thing that I want to point it out is that even though this lens weighs 2 pounds, there is dual motor system for focusing, which is important because the fastest focus is always going to win the game at the end of the day, especially if you're doing photography of action sports, because that is the determining factor. How fast can you focus? And this one has dual system that is going to allow that autofocus system to work extremely fast. And I'm hoping that the improvements keep coming, especially in terms of software and firmware upgrades for the cameras, and then this will also affect the way that this lens will perform. I know that a lot of people have been asking me about whether they should be switching to Panasonic. I don't see a problem with switching to Panasonic if you're coming from the perspective of making an ecosystem investment. You have to know that there are still a lot of lenses that still need to be filled in. And if you are looking to buy the lenses from Leica, they're extremely expensive compared to the current market prices, yet they are of exceptional quality. On the side where the Sigma is coming in and they're producing their L-mount series lenses, that's going to fill the void very fast. I think that within a year or so, we should have enough of those lenses and enough of the zoom lenses that will cover those needs of those professionals, whether they are doing for 16 to 35, 24 to 70, or 7 to 200. They're all going to be there, and also the prime lenses ranging from the 18 millimeter all the way to 135 millimeter. And that is exciting because the way that the market is going, the more players there are, the more there is a push to improve the technology. My point always been that before we only had 2 or 3 players, now we have 5 or 6 players. It is heating up the game. Instead of people looking to buy a camera and use it for 5 years, they're now looking at the next possibility of switching systems or using it interchangeably with other systems. So if, for example, you started with a Leica SL and you said, you know what, I want to go with Panasonic, you can use your lenses and sell the body. Similarly, if you're using Panasonic lenses, you can be switching to Leica system. That is a huge possibility for people to have flexibility between the systems. Also, they are going to be able to see faster and faster changes in the photography world with the introduction of faster lenses and better autofocus systems and better video capabilities and better codec for editing those images from the video. For me, that is the key factor, and the lenses that we have currently needs to be able to resolve for those high resolution images. If you have the S1R, you need to be able to get a lens that is going to be very sharp, very accurate, and 24 to 70 millimeter is one of those lenses that is going to be able to perform in that category. From all this, I can say to you, it is the lens that I would buy first if I was going for the S1H system or the S1R system. It is the lens that is going to be the most versatile. And all the other lenses, the prime lenses, you can purchase over a period of time and build your set. But this is the lens that I will go with if I was doing it for the S1 system. And I hope this has been an informative review for you, and it's been my thoughts and my knowledge that I'd like to share. If you have questions, if you need to learn more about this lens, please drop me a comment in the section below. I will answer. There are a whole bunch of links in the description section where I'll talk about different types of cameras, the Panasonic cameras. I have done reviews on the S1H, the S1R. Please go and visit those links and see how they are. And also there are links where you can buy these this new latest camera and lens combinations and lenses that are just coming out, like the 24 to 70, with those links to get the best prices. And I thank you for watching, and I'll see you in our next review.